So I've come to this lovely riverside spot today to just contemplate and listen deeply on how we can help nature. And the thing that's come to me was a dog jumping in the river, and it reminded me that a large number of our dogs are treated for things like ticks and fleas and worms and so on, and often with these topical treatments, so the kind of spot on, the sort of lotions that you put onto the coat of the dog, and when they jump in the river that gets washed off. And for many of our insects and crustaceans and so on, much of their life cycle is in this river, is in the water. And these chemicals that we're using to prevent insects and so on our pets contain these really potent chemicals. They don't just stop at treating the fleas that happen to possibly land on our dogs and so on. They also kill the animals in the water. And so what we've been doing with our own dog actually is to stop giving these treatments when there are no fleas and ticks and so on, what's called prophylactically. So we're not preventing fleas and ticks using pharmaceutical products. Certainly things like using a fine comb and what have you, and just general sort of pet hygiene is a good idea. But the consequences, these things often contain such potent neurotoxins. They're not only toxic to the insects and so on. It's pretty bad news. But those things work their way up the food chain. They're in the water that we're drinking. There is a potential for really wide harms to happen. So it's something for each pet owner perhaps to consider whether this is actually a benefit in terms of the grand scheme of living. And certainly we've found ways. There are lots of perhaps kinder ways using things like aromatherapy, and if the dog happens to get fleas and things, we can, as I say, use a comb. We can use the kind of crushed diatom things around the home as well to deal with that. So there are alternatives, and probably a number that I haven't mentioned.